March 15, 1945, 17 hours, Belgium, a road junction 3 kilometers south of High. The battery commander stands at the field telephone. His right hand rests on the receiver. 4 25-pounder guns are positioned behind him, barrels elevated to 45 degrees. The crews wait beside the breech mechanisms. No one speaks. The aiming stakes have been checked twice. Ammunition is stacked in the prescribed manner. The wind is light from the northwest, approximately 8 kilometers per hour. Visibility extends beyond 2,000 meters. There is no incoming fire. There are no aircraft overhead. The road junction is empty except for 2 damaged trucks and a section of collapsed telephone line. At 14:18, the battery commander lifts the receiver. He issues the fire command. The gun captains acknowledge. Hands move to lanyards. The barrels are loaded. The crews step back. The battery commander opens his mouth to give the final order. He does not speak. 3 seconds pass. 5. The gun captains remain motionless, hands on lanyards, eyes on the battery commander. The loaded shells rest in the breeches. The firing pins are cocked. The trajectory calculations are complete. The range is verified. Everything is ready. The battery commander lowers the receiver without speaking the word that would release the rounds. The 4 guns belong to the 52nd Field Regiment, Royal Artillery. They have been in continuous operation since January. The crews are experienced. The battery has fired in support of infantry advances, counter-battery missions, and defensive operations. Doctrine is well understood. Standard operating procedures are followed without deviation. The target is a German observation post located on high ground northeast of the junction, approximately 4,000 meters distant. Intelligence reports indicate the post coordinates artillery for a retreating kampfgruppe. The kampfgruppe is estimated at company strength, moving east along secondary roads. Allied forces are advancing on a broad front. The observation post has been identified through radio intercepts and aerial reconnaissance. It is assessed as a priority target. The fire mission was authorized at 13:55 hours. The regimental commander confirmed the target coordinates. The battery moved into position at 14:02. Reconnaissance verified the line of fire. No friendly forces are in the impact area. The safety template has been applied. All conditions are met. The crews have rehearsed this sequence hundreds of times. Each man knows his role. The gun captain confirms the charge. The layer adjusts the sight. The loader closes the breech. The spotter observes the fall of shot. Corrections are relayed. The cycle repeats until the target is neutralized or the mission is complete. At 14:17, the fire command is given. The command follows the standard format: target description, ammunition type, number of rounds, method of fire. The gun captains repeat the command. There is no confusion. The battery is ready. Weather conditions favor accuracy. The ground is firm. The guns are stable. There is no reason to delay. The battery commander has commanded this unit for 8 months. He has authorized fire on German positions across France and Belgium. His record is thorough. His decisions are trusted. At 14:18, he issues the preparatory commands. At 14:15, he prepares to issue the executive command, the single word that will initiate fire. His mouth opens. The word does not come. Artillery doctrine in 1945 emphasizes speed and precision. The 25-pounder is a proven system. Its rate of fire is approximately 5 rounds per minute under sustained conditions. A 4-gun battery can deliver 20 rounds onto a target area within 3 minutes. High-explosive shells are effective against personnel, light structures, and field fortifications. The fuse is set for airburst or impact, depending on the target. The observation post is a legitimate military objective. It directs fire that has caused casualties among Allied units. Its elimination will reduce the effectiveness of German artillery and facilitate the advance. The kampfgruppe relies on coordinated fire support. Without observation, its defensive capability is degraded. The crews have fired on similar targets in recent weeks. Observation posts, command bunkers, supply points, road junctions. Each mission follows the same sequence: target identification, fire order, execution, adjustment, confirmation of effect. The battery has a record of accuracy. Misses are rare, corrections are made quickly. Regimental staff trust the battery to deliver. At 14:18, the final step is imminent. The lanyards are taut. The crews await the command to fire. The word will be brief, one syllable. The guns will recoil. The rounds will be in flight within seconds. Impact will occur 45 seconds later. Smoke and debris will mark the target. Observers will report the results. The sequence is predictable. There is no indication that the mission will be interrupted. All communications are functioning. No countermanding order has been received. The battery commander's authority is clear. The decision to fire rests with him. The gun captains watch him. Their training requires absolute response to command. They do not fire without the executive order. They do not question delay. They wait. The battery commander's behavior is their only signal. His hand remains on the telephone receiver. His eyes are fixed on the distant ridgeline where the observation post is located. He does not speak. He does not move. The moment extends beyond the normal interval between preparatory and executive commands. The guns remain silent. 14:18, 22 hours. The battery commander holds the receiver. His mouth is open. The word does not come. The gun captains watch him. Their hands are on the lanyards. The barrels are aligned. The rounds are loaded. The fuses are set. Everything is ready. He lowers the receiver. He turns toward the road junction. He does not give the order. The crews remain in position. No one moves. No one asks a question. The battery commander walks 3 paces forward. He stops. He raises his binoculars. He scans the target area. The ridgeline is visible, trees. Terrain features matching the map coordinates. The observation post should be there. He lowers the binoculars. He does not return to the telephone. At 14:19, he signals the gun captains to stand by. The word stand by is not a cancellation. It is not a stand down. It means maintain readiness. The guns remain loaded. The crews remain at their positions. At 14:19:40, he walks to the edge of the position. He stands there looking northeast. He does not raise the binoculars again. He simply looks. 30 seconds pass. He returns to the telephone. He does not lift the receiver. He places his hand on it. He stands motionless. The guns do not fire. Time passes without instruction. The crews do not relax. Standing orders require readiness until a mission is complete or explicitly canceled. The lanyards remain held. The guns remain pointed northeast. The battery commander does not speak. At 14:21, the regimental net crackles. A voice asks for confirmation of fire. The battery commander does not respond immediately. The request is repeated at 14:22. He acknowledges but does not report rounds away. He states that he is assessing the target. The voice at the other end pauses. There is no further transmission. The gun captains exchange glances. They do not abandon their posts. Doctrine does not permit unsupervised deviation. The battery commander has given no order to stand down. The mission is neither complete nor canceled. The status is indeterminate. The wind shifts slightly. Clouds move in from the west. The temperature drops. The crews wait. Some shift their weight. Others check their equipment again. There is nothing to adjust. Everything was correct at 14:17. It remains correct at 14:25. At 14:27, the battery commander returns to the telephone. He does not lift the receiver. He stands beside it. His expression is neutral. He looks at the map board. His finger traces the line from the battery position to the target coordinates. He does not mark anything. He does not speak. At 14:30, one of the loaders coughs. The sound is brief. No one reacts. The battery commander glances at the crews. He nods once, then returns his attention to the map. The mission has not been executed. The mission has not been canceled. At 14:32, the battery commander walks back to the forward edge of the position. He raises his binoculars and observes the ridgeline for 2 full minutes. He lowers them slowly. He returns to the telephone. At 14:35, he lifts the receiver and contacts regimental headquarters. The conversation is brief. He reports that he is canceling the fire mission. The reason he gives: insufficient certainty of target identification. The voice on the other end asks for clarification. The battery commander repeats his statement. He adds that the coordinates place the observation post in an area with civilian structures visible nearby. He states that visual confirmation is inadequate. The regimental commander acknowledges. The mission is canceled. The battery commander replaces the receiver. He turns to the gun captains and gives the order to unload. At 14:33, the battery commander had walked to the forward observation officer's position. The two men conferred quietly. The conversation lasted less than 1 minute. No written notes were exchanged. The forward observation officer lowered his binoculars and shook his head. The battery commander returned to the telephone. The observation post coordinates were accurate according to intelligence reports. Aerial reconnaissance had photographed the area 2 days earlier. Radio direction finding had triangulated German transmissions to that location. The map showed high ground suitable for observation. All procedural requirements for target validation were satisfied, but the battery commander had observed the ridgeline directly. Through magnification, he identified structures. Some matched the description of military installations. Others did not. A cluster of buildings appeared to be farm structures. Smoke rose from one, possibly a chimney, possibly something else. Movement was visible but not clearly identifiable as military personnel. The coordinates placed the center of the target area within 200 meters of the structures. High explosive shells would fragment across an area 300 meters in diameter. The margin for error was insufficient to exclude the possibility of impact on non-military targets. The battery commander's authority included discretion to refuse fire missions if target identification was uncertain. The discretion was rarely exercised. Intelligence was generally reliable. Coordinates were verified through multiple sources. But the authority existed for situations where direct observation contradicted indirect evidence. The battery commander assessed that he could not confirm with certainty that the target area contained only military objectives. The structures visible through binoculars introduced doubt. The doubt was sufficient, in his judgment, to withhold fire. The decision was procedural. It followed doctrine regarding target identification standards. It did not require approval from higher command, though reporting the cancellation was mandatory. The battery commander exercised authority granted to him. The kampfgruppe would continue to receive artillery support from the observation post. Allied casualties might result. The advance might be delayed. These consequences were understood. The decision was not made without awareness of tactical costs. But the battery commander could not fire on coordinates he could not verify through direct observation when that observation suggested the presence of noncombatants. By 14:45, the battery is in administrative posture. The crews clean the guns and check mechanical components. Ammunition is restacked. Tools are accounted for. The standard post-mission routine is followed, though no mission was completed. The regimental net remains active. Other batteries report missions in progress. Fire missions continue across the sector. The Kampfgruppe is still moving east. German artillery fire is reported sporadically. The observation post presumably remains operational. At 15:10, new orders arrive. The battery is directed to displace to a position 6 kilometers south. Movement begins at 15:30. The guns are limbered and towed by their tractors. The convoy departs the road junction at 15:50. By 16:20, the battery is in its new position. No further mention is made of the canceled mission. The battery commander does not discuss it with his subordinates. The gun captains do not ask questions. The incident is not referenced in briefings or correspondence. At 17:00, the battery receives a new fire mission. The target is a crossroads 8 kilometers to the east. The mission is executed without complication. 12 rounds are fired. Impact is observed. The target is confirmed destroyed. The battery stands down at 17:25. That evening, the battery commander writes the daily operational log. The entry for 14:18 reads, Fire mission authorized. Target observation post. Grid reference 482-391. Mission cancelled. Insufficient target confirmation. No additional commentary is included. The regimental log records the same information. No inquiry is noted. No explanation is requested. The entry is routine among dozens of similar entries documenting the day's operations across the regiment. The battery moves again on March 16, advancing with the division as Allied forces push deeper into Germany. The gun crews settle into the rhythm of displacement, preparation, fire missions, displacement. The cancelled mission on March 15 becomes one event among hundreds. No after-action report addressed the cancelled fire mission. The battery log contained a single line. Mission 15-03-45/14. 17 target identification uncertain cancelled 14:35. The entry was routine. Incomplete missions were common. Weather, communication failures, tactical changes, all produced similar notations. This entry was indistinguishable from dozens of others. The regimental commander received no formal inquiry from the battery commander. No written explanation was filed beyond the verbal report given at 14:35 hours. The matter was not discussed at the evening briefing. Other fire missions that day were reviewed. Ammunition expenditure was tallied. Displacement schedules were confirmed. The cancelled mission was not mentioned. No investigation was conducted. The decision to cancel a fire mission based on target identification uncertainty fell within the discretionary authority granted to battery commanders. Doctrine recognized that conditions in the field could differ from staff assessments. Commanders were expected to exercise judgment. The battery commander had exercised his. The observation post that was the intended target continued to function. Radio intercepts confirmed its activity through March 16. By March 17, signals ceased. Whether the post was abandoned, destroyed by other units, or simply relocated was not recorded. The kampfgruppe it supported withdrew eastward. The Allied advance continued. The sector became inactive within 72 hours. No casualties resulted from the decision not to fire. No casualties were prevented. The tactical situation evolved according to broader operational factors unrelated to one four-gun battery's actions on one afternoon. The cancelled mission existed as a procedural event, logged, filed, forgotten. The gun crews never learned why the mission was cancelled. They assumed the battery commander had information they did not. Trust in command decisions was foundational. Questions were not asked. The incident dissolved into the accumulation of small events that constituted daily operations. The battery commander, whose name appeared on the mission log as Maj. R. Harrison, completed his service in Germany. The 52nd Field Regiment participated in occupation duties through late 1945. Harrison returned to Britain in January 1946 and was released from active duty in April. He returned to his pre-war profession as a schoolmaster in Yorkshire. He did not maintain correspondence with men from his battery. The demobilization scattered personnel across Britain and the Commonwealth. Reunions were organized by the Regimental Association in the 1950s and 1960s. Harrison attended one in 1958. He spoke with former subordinates about general experiences, the cold, the mud, the routine. The cancelled fire mission was not discussed. It had not been memorable to anyone except perhaps him, and he did not mention it. In 1972, a military historian researching artillery operations in the final months of the war contacted Harrison. The historian was compiling detailed accounts of fire missions for a technical study. Harrison provided general information about battery procedures and coordination with infantry. When asked about specific missions, he described several that had been completed successfully. He did not mention the mission on March 15, 1945. The historian did not ask about it specifically. It was not in the regiment's operational summaries. Harrison died in 1981 at the age of 67. His military records are archived with other personnel files from the period. They contain standard documentation, service dates, postings, promotions. No commendations related to March 15, 1945. No letters of inquiry. No unusual notations. The 4 gun captains who waited at their lanyards that afternoon dispersed after the war. 2 remained in the Army and served in Korea. 1 emigrated to Canada. 1 returned to Scotland and worked as a mechanic. None left recorded accounts mentioning the cancelled mission. It was not significant enough to remember among hundreds of fire missions executed over 16 months of operations. The guns themselves, the 4 25-pounders that were loaded and aimed but never fired, continued in service through the end of the war. They were eventually decommissioned and scrapped. Metal from artillery pieces was recycled. The guns that did not fire on March 15, 1945 became indistinguishable from those that did. A fire command issued at 17 hours. Guns loaded, crews ready, lanyards held. The final word prepared but not spoken. A mission that existed in complete form for 20 minutes, then dissolved without execution. The sequence broken at its final step. The battery commander who stood beside the telephone and chose not to complete the order. The gun captains who waited and then stood down. The rounds that were loaded and then removed, unfired. The target that remained untouched not through mechanical failure or tactical necessity, but through one man's decision that he could not see clearly enough to be certain. The war continued. The battery displaced to a new position. Other missions were fired. The cancelled mission became a single line in a logbook, then a file in an archive, then a detail too small to appear in historical summaries. The observation post ceased functioning within days. The kampfgruppe withdrew. The front moved east. The sector became quiet. What would have happened if the mission had been executed as planned cannot be known. The shells that were not fired. The impact that did not occur. The observation post that may or may not have been damaged. The structures visible through binoculars that may or may not have contained civilians. The tactical effect that cannot be measured because the action did not take place. March 15, 1945. 4 guns silent at a Belgian crossroads. A fire command issued and immediately cancelled. 20 minutes when violence was prepared, authorized, and ready, and then withheld. Not through intervention from above, not through mechanical failure, through a decision made in seconds by a man who looked through binoculars and could not see enough to be certain. The guns were unloaded. The crews dispersed. The mission was logged as incomplete. The reason, target identification uncertain. The record is sparse. The decision is unexplained. The silence is complete.